So this is bringing us into a very different energy than earlier in December when Venus was in the fun, easygoing, free-spirited sign of Sagittarius. When you have Venus in Sagittarius, this is definitely an energy of expansion, of adventure, of trying new things and seeing where they take you, knowing that luck is on your side, okay? So this is a very freewheeling, free-spirited energy that allows you to go places that you haven't gone before, to travel internationally, to try lovers that you haven't tried before of different backgrounds. Very, very different energy than the mature, grounded, sensitive, yet reserved energy of Venus in Capricorn. So this is going to be a really interesting start to the new year. I'm actually very excited about the transits coming up into 2023 because as we emerge into this energy of Venus in Capricorn, this is going to give you a chance to really be very practical, intentional, and also effective in your planning for your goals for 2023. If you're someone who likes to write New Year's resolutions, with the year starting off with Venus and Capricorn, this is actually going to give you a chance to make those resolutions come true in a way where you won't just write them on New Year's, get drunk, and then forget about them into February. All right. With Venus in Capricorn, this gives us the energy of action, of pragmatism, okay, of practical planning, of not just talking about it, but also being about it. When you have a love interest, a woman with Venus in Capricorn, she doesn't want you to just tell her that you love her. She wants you to show her that you love her, to do, okay? This is a sign of practical planning and pragmatic action. That means taking small intentional steps every day to achieve your goals, all right? So Capricorn, as well as the 10th house, are placements and the sign of I use, okay? This is a sign of utilization. This is a sign that is very intentional and very purposeful in the connections that they make, okay? So, and this is one thing that, you know, I kind of hate about the way that people tend to see Capricorns, Capricorn suns, people with Venus and Capricorn, because a lot of the time people misunderstand people with these placements as being opportunistic or as being users. And yes, in its, you know, lower vibrational state, you can have these placements and be the type of person who uses people and throws them away. But this does also, like, when you have this placement and you mature, you learn that it's better to have and to use that deep intuitive ability that Capricorns have, because Capricorns are deeply empathic. Don't let anybody tell you different. They just cover it up with a hard exterior because of the fact that they were so disappointed and hurt early on in life. Okay, so you won't see this from Capricorns until you get really, really close to them. But yes, they are very sensitive people. So, you know, when you're dealing with a Capricorn, when a Capricorn is in its highest vibration, whether it's Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Mercury, Capricorn Venus, this is the type of person that is going to, you know, make connections with people by intuitively connecting to them first. They can feel when there's a good opportunity. They can feel when someone's going to be right for them. This is what makes them so good at delegating tasks, at being the boss, because a good boss and supervisor is the type of person that can see within their workers, their employees, their strengths, bring those strengths out of them, and then delegate them into roles that make the best use of those strengths. So this is why Capricorn is so good at making intentional connections, because they know who a good connection would be for them. When they meet somebody, they know, you know, who would be good and right for them in certain roles, who has the connections that they need, and what they can give and contribute in return. And for a lot of Capricorns, their love language is gifts or, you know, service. So that being said, Capricorns love it when people do things for them, because, especially in a Capricorn's life, they may have had, especially in their early life, times where there was no one there to support them. And so support means everything to them. They work to gain material security because this is the way that they make themselves feel emotionally secure, knowing that they brought value to the world through the things that they've accomplished. Okay, knowing that they have contributed and that they hold value in other people's eyes because of the goals that they have set and, conquered within their life. And so when it comes to relationships, they often choose people who they know can benefit them. And with Venus transiting into Capricorn, you're going to be making a lot of useful connections. You're going to be making connections that help you mature, as Capricorn is a sign of the old soul, of maturity. This is a sign where you usually find people who can be the parent of their friend group. They are the old soul. They're the person who often carries a lot of maturity with them. And this is because, as everyone already knows, I'm not going to repeat this too often, because people always say that Capricorns are the sign that have had to grow up early. They are usually the type of person that has had to mature very quickly without really having the time to be a kid. So with this in mind, with this Capricorn in Venus, or this Venus in Capricorn placement, you're going to find that you attract people into your life wherever Capricorn, whatever house Capricorn is placed in your chart, that allow you to mature in a certain area. You're going to, some of you, be forced to grow up in certain areas as well. Wherever your Capricorn is, you're going to really be tested to you're going to be tested as far as what you know. You're going to be tested to say, okay, well, you want to do this as a career, but can you back it up? You want this relationship, but do you have what it takes to maintain it? And you're also going to be forced to see where you have confidence in yourself, where you see your own value, and where you need to kind of step it up in terms of your skill set, in terms of really going for what it is that you want. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to just go through a couple of houses, the most prominent ones I think that are going to be impacted by this transit first, and then I'll go to a few other things about this transit. So if you have Capricorn in your first house, you're going to be feeling super confident, okay? A lot of times, people who have this placement tend to be less confident about their appearance for no reason. People with Capricorn in the first house typically are very good looking, often have amazing bone structure, often have a very solid, strong presence about them, a very masculine presence also. Even if they're women, they tend to have a very dominant, even if they're feminine women, they tend to have a very dominant appearance to them, a very dominant energy. Because even though Capricorn is a feminine sign, it also has that boss energy to it. Okay, so you're a female that commands attention as well if you have this placement, as Capricorn is in your, if Capricorn's in your first house. So with Capricorn here on the ascendant, you are going to be standing in your power. You're going to be feeling a lot more sure of your self-worth. And you may even feel less like you need to prove your self-worth, and, a lot more deserving of what it is that you want in life. So you may find yourself overthinking things a lot less, going for those opportunities that you really want, going for those people that you really want. You may even get approached more by people who are interested in you as well. So this is going to be a time where you're very magnetic, where you're able to attract those things that you want in your life. So I strongly suggest for those of you with Capricorn in the first house that you take advantage of this time to really think about what it is that you want to accomplish for, you know, this next year, 2023, and to go about it, okay? To start taking action, start looking at what you can do in your everyday life in order to make those things happen. Okay, so I would go on those interviews. I would apply to those jobs, especially, you know, for my dominant Capricorn placements. And if you have Capricorn in your first house and you are Saturn dominant, Saturn would be your chart ruler, as Saturn does rule Capricorn. All right, so you guys have a tendency to underestimate yourself. And so this is the perfect time, as Venus is in Capricorn. You're going to be more aware of your value. You're going to be attracting people who see your value more easily and aren't distracted by your own lack of confidence in yourself that often stops you from taking advantage of those opportunities that come your way. All right. So with this placement here, please go for those opportunities. Please don't underestimate yourself. Don't count yourself out. You're not the underdog. You're intelligent. You're intuitive. You've got this. Okay, so if you want to go on certain interviews, if you want to go for certain opportunities, if you want to approach certain people that you feel like, you know, you don't deserve, or that would never be interested in you, you might be surprised. And with Venus here on your ascendant, this is also a great time to change up your look. So if you wanted to reinvent yourself in any way, if you want to reinvent the way that you're perceived, if you want to change your business name, whatever it is, this is an excellent time to do that. If you've been looking to change your name, this is a great time to do that while Venus is on your ascendant. Because with Venus here, it's just going to make everything that you do more appealing, more beautiful. It's going to make you seem more charismatic, and it'll allow you to make beneficial changes to your appearance, to the way that you're perceived by the outer world, in a way that adds to your presence, to your energy, and to the opportunities that you want to experience in the future. Okay. So also, you know, if you have a Capricorn in your second house, you may be receiving a raise. You could be receiving money of some sort. If you have investments, you could see increases in your investments during this time. This would also be a great time to invest, or you could find yourself getting into a committed long-term relationship. So of course, the second house is the house that Taurus naturally sits in. This is the house of I have. So you may be attaining some new things while Venus is in your second house. Okay, this is also an awesome time to increase your material wealth. So if you're interested in investing in something, this could be a good time to start at least, you know, looking, and thinking about what it is that you want to do, what you want to invest in. This could even be paying for classes that are investment in something that you want to learn or do in the future as far as your occupation. Okay, because with Capricorn here in your second house, if you do have restrictions or have had restrictions around your financial life, you'll see that loosening up with Venus in this placement. Venus is a beneficent planet, meaning that it gives positives, which the second house is. As Venus is also Taurus's ruler, you're going to see that you'll find a little bit more luck in your life in the area of finances. And if you keep being persistent, especially this year, as you're starting off with, you know, Venus in Capricorn, with Venus in this placement as the year begins for you, you might find yourself a little bit more lucky in the area of finances. If you're persistent, if you're committed, and if you take small, determined, consistent steps along the way. All right. If you have Capricorn in the seventh house, this is going to put Venus in a place where it's going to be very beneficial to you, because Venus does naturally rule the seventh house. Okay, Libra is the natural placement, or the natural sign of the seventh house. And so this puts Venus in the house of relationships, of connections. So that being said, that doesn't mean that everybody who has Venus in Capricorn, or rather Capricorn in the 7th house, is going to be in a relationship during this time. But it definitely is going to give you a boost. If you're in a relationship, this is going to be an excellent time for you to express your intentions, your expectations with your partner, which I'm sure if you have Capricorn in the 7th house, I'm sure they probably already know what your expectations are. But if you feel like they're not being met, or if you want to increase your intimacy in your relationship, and by that, I also mean your emotional intimacy, not just physical intimacy, even though you can do that too. This is an excellent time for you to connect with your partner, for you to be able to express to them how you feel, and to bond with them in a way that strengthens the connection in your relationship. You may be in a long-term committed relationship, or with somebody who you really see yourself able to be with for years, if you do have Venus in or Capricorn in the 7th house during this time. So, also for those of you who are going to have Venus in or transiting your 10th house, this is an excellent time for career advancement. So if you've been studying, if you've been applying for something, you will see luck. You will see yourself accomplish things, get positions, get opportunities that you thought were further out of your reach. And this is partly because of the fact that, Capricorns do often underestimate themselves. For whatever reason, I don't know why it is, because you guys are the hardest workers, but you're very hard on yourself. So, you often don't see how skilled you are. You often don't see how amazing you are. And that can actually make it take longer for you to get to a place in your life where you want to be, because you may not go for those opportunities, or your energy might say, I don't feel I deserve this. And so you might actually pull yourself back from things that you actually do deserve. So with Venus here, if you have Capricorn in your 10th house, you're already destined for success. All you have to do is do the work. Now, you might be a little confused because of the fact that it may take you longer. You may not see that success until after the age of 30. But again, when Saturn or Capricorn is in a certain house or sign, these are areas in our life where we don't see the fruits of our labor until we take determined, consistent action, until we reach a certain level of maturity, and until we've learned Saturn's lessons. Now, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so wherever you have Capricorn in your chart, you are going to have a lot of lessons. This isn't going to be a house unless you have like a awesome, a stellium here, like Sun, Venus, Mercury. Unless you have all beneficent planets in your Capricorn placement, you're not going to see a very easy, ride, an easy experience with wherever your Capricorn is in your chart wheel, in your natal chart. You're going to often find wherever Capricorn is placed is where you experience some very tough lessons that you'll be very glad that you learned along the way. All right. So this is going to require maturity. And if you have Capricorn in your 10th house, you may have more than likely you have an area in your life where you want to make progress. You kind of know what you feel like you're destined to do. Unless you have like a air ascendant, or you're an air sun or a fire sun with a lot of placements that make you easily distracted, or a little bit more flighty. Most Capricorn 10th house midheaven, most Capricorn risings, and even a lot of Capricorn suns, you guys know what it is that you want to do. You know what your passions are. You know what you're good at. So with a Capricorn 10th house placement, it's really important that you do go for those opportunities. And also, you're going to find that you don't feel as blocked. You're going to be like, what's going on? What's happening here? It might unnerve you a little bit, because it'll be that much easier to accomplish certain goals. You're going to make progress in certain areas that you may have been trying to make progress in for years. and you may have felt as though you were going nowhere, and all of a sudden it's going to be like a key was put inside the lock and turned, and now the door is open for you. So you'll find a lot of success, a lot of opportunities. Please take advantage of it while Venus is in Capricorn, because of the fact that if you can jump on these opportunities now, if you can, plan out what you want to, three major goals that you want to accomplish this year, and if you're able to focus on them now, it's going to allow you to then set yourself up for a year where you've already made significant momentum within the plans that you have. Okay, so if you can kind of get in on the action early, if you're able to make progress early in the year, you're going to find that it's going to be like going downhill. Okay, when you walk downhill, it's easy. When you walk uphill, it's hard. Whenever your Capricorn placement is usually like walking uphill. So if you make progress now, if you look at your Capricorn placement and if it's in the 10th house, if it's in the 2nd house, start that momentum now. Be a go-getter. Put that go-getter energy wherever your Capricorn placement is in your chart, and keep up that momentum so that when Venus moves into Aquarius, you can make those connections. You can do whatever it is that you need to do as far as posting about your new business on social media, or connecting with other people, showing your new love interest off that you met in January while Venus was in Capricorn to your friends when Venus enters Aquarius. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you kind of give yourself that push so that you can make it easier for yourself in the rest of the year. All right. So if you have Capricorn in the 12th house, this is going to be really interesting for you, because the 12th house is the house that Pisces naturally sits in. So this is the house that's ruled by the planet Neptune. This is the planet of delusions, of dreams, of glamour as well, depending on, and of imprisonment, depending on what you have here and how it's aspected. Okay, so with Venus transiting your 12th house, you might meet a partner that's very karmic. You might meet a partner that helps you heal parts of yourself that have been hidden thus far in your life. It's very interesting when you get a partner that has 12th house transits, or that has 12th house synastry to you, because they will mirror parts of yourself that you've tried to keep hidden. So, and a lot of times they do this unconsciously. Okay, so you might feel like this person is trying to read you, and they probably are not. It's just, you guys have a psychic connection. All right. So with that being said, when you have Venus in your 12th house here, you're going to attract people to you, situations. You could attract some very, sexually compatible partners as well. But you're going to attract a lot of different situations to you that require you, and again, this depends on what else is in your 12th house, all right, but that force you to confront situations, pent up emotions, trauma in your life that you haven't visited, and to really look it in the face and deal with it. So you're going to find especially with Venus here in the sign of Capricorn, you may even have to take a harsh look at things in your life and lies you told yourself about why you think you're not attractive, or why you feel like you don't deserve love, or, why, depending on what else you have in Capricorn or in your 12th house, why you haven't been able to attract the right job. All right, whatever it is. And you're going to be dealing with that while Venus is in Capricorn. You might even want to, if you work with ancestors, you might want to go ahead and pay special attention to your altar, during this season as well. It could be a great source of support for you, encouragement, and you could also find a lot of answers in your dreams, okay, while this transit occurs. So I would definitely recommend that you do that. So for everybody else, all right, if you have Capricorn in your 8th house, you could definitely see an increase in certain aspects of your finances. If you have Venus here naturally, you may find that you meet a partner that you have a deep connection with, that you end up learning a lot of spiritual lessons from. If you have Venus transiting your 6th house during this time, you may want to pay special attention to your health. You could find yourself also finding some, nutritional, new ways of approaching nutrition that work for you. You could be confronting and getting rid of some health issues. You might be doing a cleanse as well during this time. So that's something that you also, want to kind of look out for is, if you've had some health issues, especially since COVID, put some intention toward looking for some holistic solutions, and you might find those things while Venus is in Capricorn, because it's going to be very, very beneficent for you during this time. All right. Especially because, with Capricorn in your 6th house, you might have had a lot of consistent health challenges throughout your life. And you might find some long-term solutions while this beneficent planet of, harmony, of love, and also of Venus represents what you enjoy. Venus represents what makes you feel as if you belong in life, but also it represents those things that make life worth living. So it represents what it is about life that makes you feel beautiful, or the things that you find beautiful in life. And that being said, you may find yourself a lot more at ease, especially as we get into the new year, as we'll have that Venus conjunct Sun transit within your 6th house. You can find yourself feeling less stressed, feeling as if you are in a more harmonious, calm, and centered space as the year begins. Okay, so a lot of good things that could be happening for you guys, especially because this is a natural earth sign house. Virgo traditionally sits in the 6th house. You can find yourself in a very good place as the new year begins, and really paying a lot of attention to your well-being, while everybody else might be sick or having overeaten during the holiday season, and having to do cleanses or whatever it might be that might be affecting their health. Especially a lot of us have had issues with the way the weather has been, with the changing of seasons and all of that. You might find yourself really in a better place health-wise, and even mentally. With Venus and Capricorn, if you have it in your 6th house, you might be finding ways to feel less stressed, as well as this is a mercurial placement, and Mercury does control or rule over thoughts, over how we process our thoughts, over how we learn. If you have learning disabilities, or if you have mental health issues that you've been dealing with, this is going to be a great time for you to learn kind of how to self-heal, how to confront things, and how to have more of a mastery over your thoughts. So this would be a really good place for you as well. A really good time to conquer and overcome some difficulties that may have set you back or restricted you at another point during 2022. If you have Venus or Capricorn, if you have Capricorn in your 5th house, you may find that you are able to work more harmoniously with people in your 5th house with this transit, and that would naturally make Capricorn in your 5th house. Then you may find that you have time to have fun during the beginning of the year. You may not be as stressed. All right. You might find that you even meet somebody who you can kind of have like a casual, intimate relationship with, nothing too serious, or you might have more fun with your partner. If you are, in a committed relationship, you may find that you are able to be more lighthearted, that you're able to connect with your partner in a way that allows you to just have fun together, just enjoy life on in a brighter way, maybe with all these issues that you may have faced during the eclipse, and later into 2022, as the year progressed, you might find that you have some relief from that as Venus enters your 5th house. So you might find yourself a little bit more carefree. And also, especially if you do have a creative career, or if you work with children, if you work in the teaching, the area of teaching as well, you might find that your year just kind of flows, that you're able to almost put more of your personality, more of you, and more of your individuality into the way that you create, into the way that you teach, or in the way that you approach your career. If you have planets such as Saturn in your 5th, if you have Capricorn here in your 5th house, or if you have, Saturn or Mercury in another earth sign that's trining your Capricorn in the 5th placement. So, with all of those transits occurring, you may find that you are able to feel at ease communicating, who you are, your individuality, being yourself. And you might really be able to, express yourself in a more carefree way than what you usually feel like you can. Okay, with Capricorn in your 5th, any house where Capricorn is, there is going to be some restriction, at least at first, until you learn to really settle into yourself, until you learn more about who you are, and until you're able to have a certain level of maturity in the way that you approach life. Capricorn naturally restricts us until we're able to learn more about ourselves, until we're seasoned in life in some way or in certain areas where we can kind of push through those restrictions. And even then, that placement, wherever Capricorn is in your chart, is going to require a lot of discipline and a lot of patience. Okay, so if you have a Capricorn in your 5th, you may even have some difficulty having fun. It may not be easy for you. You might not be a very easygoing person, and this could be because you had a very difficult early life. So be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to discover ways that you can have fun, that you can enjoy your connections, and that you can be carefree. Okay, so if you have Capricorn in your 4th, you may find yourself really settling into a new place. Maybe you moved when Venus was in Sagittarius, but you will find yourself connecting more with your emotions. You might be dealing with some, daddy issues or mommy issues. If you have this placement as well, as Venus is in Capricorn, you might really take a look at how you love people, the style in which you love, maybe even your love language, as Venus is transiting your 4th house, because this is going to bring some awareness to you, as this is a natural placement of Cancer. Okay, this is a natural area where it describes how you felt nurtured as a child, or in your early life, in your home life, how you learn to nurture yourself, how you learn to nurture others. And if you have Capricorn here in your 4th, you may not be very natural. It may not be very instinctive of you to, nurture yourself. You may have had a upbringing that really encouraged you to be hard on yourself, to push yourself to meet certain goals. All right, so you'll also be connecting a little bit more to your intuitive side. So if you're interested in picking up some, sort of divination practice, if you're interested in learning how to read the tarot, or if you're interested in astrology, but this will be more like, focused on the intuitive, psychic abilities. Okay, it could include astrology as well for some of you, depending on what your other placements are, but it's really going to be focused more on, those areas in occult practice where you can heal, where you can intuitively read other people. Okay, and that can happen in astrology as well. But I really feel like for some of you, if you're interested in diving into the occult, if you're interested in getting into those healing arts, you may find yourself much more motivated to do this, and even finding more opportunities as Venus enters Capricorn. You might also, depending on other placements in your chart where your moon is, where your Chiron is, you might meet somebody during this time that helps you to heal. All right. And this does not necessarily have to be a romantic, connection that enters your life. And, this is an interesting thing about Venus, and especially with astrology becoming more and more popular. A lot of people tend to stereotype the planets and signs. And so, yes, Venus is the planet of love, but love can come in many forms. Love can come in many different ways into our life. So love is not just romantic love. Venus does not just represent romantic love. It represents those meaningful, oftentimes deep, but meaningful relationships. So this can represent the friends that you grow to love. It can represent those intimate relationships in your life. Okay, Venus does rule Taurus. It also rules Libra. Libra sits in the 7th house, and so the 7th house is ruled by Venus as well. And that does represent our intimate relationships and how we like to grow, how we like to bond within our intimate relationships. Okay, so if you have Capricorn in the 7th house, for instance, you enjoy bonding with others through doing useful things. You might even fall in love or attract people to you in the area of work, okay, wherever you work at. You may find that you enjoy connecting with people who like to do the same type of things in their career as you do, okay? You might find that you tend to attract people who have the same career interests or have the same life purpose, okay? More so than others, all right? So they might actually work in your specific area of career, wherever that is. So when you have, Capricorn in Venus during this time, you're going to find that you make a lot of connections that are useful to you, that help you pursue what it is that you love wherever Venus is in your chart. Okay, so, if you have Capricorn in your 11th house, you may find that you make a lot of connections that allow you to expand in the area of work. So look to your Saturn also, wherever Saturn is as well, especially if it's positively aspecting your Capricorn in the 11th house. Okay, so that would be a positive aspect. And now I don't want to get into aspects too much during this video because all aspects have their positive sides. All right. So I'm not saying if you have a more trying aspect like a square or a semi-square or, a opposition, I'm not saying that that's not positive. But if you read, a book on astrology and they list positive aspects or beneficent aspects, it usually means aspects that come with a little bit more ease, a little bit more energetic flow to them, without tension within the chart. So when I say positive aspects or beneficent, I'm talking about those easygoing, those, aspects that flow within the chart, such as a trine. Okay, that would mean if you have, another planet in Virgo or Taurus, okay, another earth sign, or sextile, which would be in a water sign like Pisces or Scorpio. Okay, so if you have one of those aspects going on while Venus is in your 11th house, you may find that you make a lot of connections that allow you to progress in the area of your career. All right, if you have Saturn in a beneficent aspect, then you may find that you're able to loosen those restrictions. You may even make friends with people who allow you to feel less inhibited, because as when you have, wherever you have Capricorn in your chart, you may have felt restricted or inhibited in some way at some point in your life, and you may still feel that restriction depending on your age, if you've had your first or second Saturn return and what purposes they serve for you, and also where you are going forward. So that being said, when you have Capricorn here in your 11th house, you're going to find that you make connections, usually of the friendship sort, okay, not necessarily romantic. It could be, but not necessarily. When you have Venus here, it usually means connecting with, in a transit, it usually means connecting with people that you love something about, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. So these people are going to be very advantageous for you in growing in an area of your career. And with this being the house that Venus sits in for you and that Uranus usually rules, this is going to be an area where you make unexpected progress possibly. You could find people that you meet by surprise. Okay, Uranus is an unpredictable planet. So Uranus is a very unpredictable planet, all right? And a lot of times, with the way that Uranus works, it's by shock and surprise. That's the energy of Uranus. It's unpredictable. It doesn't want to be controlled. You can't control it if you tried. So that being said, if you have a Venus in this placement, if it's transiting Capricorn in your 11th house, you may meet some people that when you least expect it. You might meet some people that you didn't expect to meet. You might make connections that allow you to grow in certain areas where you felt restricted at one point. And these things might happen all of a sudden. These things might not happen, when you expect them to. So you could be on your way to the grocery store when somebody compliments your shoes. And when you speak to that person and you get to know them, you realize that they work in the same field as you and that their job is hiring. That is the way that Uranus often works, is by surprise, when you're least expecting it, when you have let go of the issue and you've left it up to fate. Uranus comes in, sort of like the Tower card in the tarot, and twist the game up in a way where you're able to make unexpected progress, or where there's unexpected change that occurs. Okay, so that is Capricorn in the 11th house when Venus transits it. You could also be going back to school. You could be in a career that has to do with like social media or technology. And you might find yourself, discovering some things that make those projects that you want to have in the future, that make those things very, the goals that you have set easier for you as well. So a lot of positive things could happen with your Venus, or with Venus rather, transiting your 11th house. All right. So when you have Capricorn in your 9th house, with this transit, you may find that you are able to travel a little bit more. You may find yourself desiring to learn about other cultures, or even meeting people from other cultures that might be, beneficial to you in the future, that might become friends. Okay, you could find yourself really expanding your network. So you might meet people from places in the world, places in the country where you usually don't go. Especially if you have Capricorn here, you may have felt that your travel was restricted. Your travel may have been restricted since COVID, able to really venture out into the world the way that you have desire to, the way that you really want to deep down. So also, you might find yourself taking up a course, or, expanding your learning in an area of your interest, especially one that affects your career, or that has to do with your career as well. If you have Jupiter naturally here, if you have your Saturn naturally here, you're going to find that you have a little bit extra luck, okay, in this area of your life. You're going to find, especially if you have Jupiter here, it's going to be as if you just have like a 4-leaf clover. You're going to find a lot of unexpected opportunities. Things are going to go your way, and it's going to happen at a faster momentum than what you're used to. Okay, so this is going to be very beneficial for you as well, especially if you have Jupiter here, because Jupiter would be at home here in the 9th house. Venus is transiting your 3rd house. If you have Capricorn in your 3rd house, I would strongly suggest that you expand your circle, that you invite new people into your life, that you go out, especially if you recently moved, go out into your community, meet new people, okay? Go ahead and make new connections. Don't be afraid to. You may have felt restricted from doing this in the past. You may have, especially if you've moved to a new area, or you may have just never really gotten to know your neighbors like that. You might have never ventured out into your community to really get to know the people. But I have a funny feeling that for some of you, you will find that there are new, events going on. There are new opportunities that allow you to connect with people. And these might be people that prove themselves to be very resourceful down the line. So, especially if you do have naturally, again, Saturn here, if you have your Saturn in Capricorn, take advantage of the extra fortune that Venus is going to give you, okay? Because you're going to find that you're able to make some, goals accomplished, that you're going to be able to make strides in a way that previously you thought you couldn't. Venus provides that ease, it provides that fluidity, and it also nurtures and encourages us in a way in whatever house it's in, whatever house it's transiting. Okay, so that being said, you're really going to find that you're able to have a lot more ease wherever this transit is in your chart, whatever area of life it impacts. And also, you're going to find that you're able to make connections that may have felt as if they were foreign to you in the past. Okay, so people that you felt like you couldn't reach, you're going to all of a sudden be able to reach. They may be interested in connecting with you in a way that they weren't before, especially if you have Capricorn in your 9th, because if Capricorn is here, you may have felt restricted as far as travel and expansion. So Venus here is going to allow you that expansion, that growth, as long as you go and reach for it, as long as you go out to get it, okay? And then it'll come to you more easily than maybe in previous months or years. So some other things to consider with Capricorn being the sign that Venus is transiting from now until I think around January 2nd or 3rd. So right now, both Neptune and Pisces. So right now, both Neptune and Jupiter are in Pisces. So with Jupiter and Neptune both in Pisces, this means that Capricorn is going to be sextile, or Venus rather is going to be sextile, both Jupiter and Neptune. All right, so this is going to give you an advantage of being able to aspire to certain things, to dream about achieving your goals, dream about that love that you're interested in having in your life if you're not with somebody, or if you're not in a fulfilling relationship. With Neptune and Pisces, while this can be a transit of deception, of illusions, of, seeing things as you want them to be rather than how they truly are, if you're able to, in your own life, harmonize the practicality of Capricorn and its gift of being able to see reality for what it is, and still dream of the life that you want by taking advantage of this aspect of hope, of aspiration, of dreams coming true, okay, of Neptune in Pisces, along with Jupiter in Pisces, which makes it actually more possible, okay, because Jupiter is a planet of luck. Jupiter is a planet of beneficence, of abundance, okay? When you have something in Jupiter, wherever Jupiter is in your house, in your natal chart, you're going to find that it makes it bigger. It makes it larger than life, okay? If you have Jupiter in Leo, people will think that you are dramatic and that you're exaggerating things when really that's just how you feel, okay? If you have Jupiter in Sagittarius, you may easily attract abundance, okay? You might be the type of person that is a great storyteller, and people might think that you're exaggerating things, okay? You might like big, grandiose things, okay? You might like that house with the huge chandelier hanging from the ceiling, and that's just naturally how you are. Jupiter in Greek mythology was known as Zeus, okay? And he was like the boss god. He was the head, he was the father of all the other deities, okay, for the most part. And he was benevolent. He was generous with his children. So Jupiter is go big or go home. With Jupiter here in Pisces, this gives us big dreams. This gives us aspirations and the luck, the fortune of fate to make it happen. So with this sextiling Venus in Capricorn, as long as you make pragmatic and practical action, if you go to school, if you apply for the school and you go to the interviews and you get the grades that you need to qualify for acceptance, you're more than likely going to get more than what you hoped for. If you do the workout plan and you're, diligent in your progress, if you, aspire to be in a great relationship and you work on manifesting it and you work on your issues that have been holding you back, you're more than likely going to see progress in these areas to a heightened level, as Jupiter does expand everything. It heightens the intensity and the level at which we experience things wherever Jupiter is in our chart. You're more than likely going to get bigger, better results than what you ever thought you could, as long as you harness this energy of Venus and Capricorn, which makes it a little bit easier to do the work and to accomplish great things because of it. Because let's not forget that with Capricorn, it is a placement that, with it being ruled by Saturn, it makes things difficult. It makes us grit our teeth. It makes us ask God why. It makes us regret that we started. We have to battle uphill, okay? But once we learn those lessons, we become the boss. And that is the pathology of Capricorn, of Saturn. Okay, so Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces makes this a little bit easier. Also, Saturn in Aquarius, all right? Depending on the philosophy of astrology that you use, depending on who you listen to, especially in ancient astrology, all right? Capricorn and Aquarius were both said to be ruled by Saturn. Okay, so depending on who you listen to, what or where you get your philosophy of astrology, this could be another major Saturn placement or Capricorn-like placement within the transits at work during the beginning of the year. Okay. For others of you, especially if you do study astrology for yourself, or if you're an astrology expert or nerd, and you tend to follow the modern astrology of today, which places Uranus as the ruler of Aquarius, then with Saturn semi-square and then square, actually no, it's not square, with Saturn semi-square Venus during this time, you're going to find that you're going to look at different ways to approach your goals. You'll look at different ways to approach your progress in areas in life where you are encountering restriction, where you are being forced to go over lessons over and over. And of course, this is going to depend on where Aquarius is in your chart as well. So for those of you that are going through your Saturn return during this time, this is always a more difficult period in life, but it's definitely worth the hard work that fate makes you do when you're in this Saturn return process and phase. So, if you are in your Saturn return, you might be encountering ways that you're approaching your difficulties in life. And the way that you have learned thus far in your life to approach those difficulties, to face those lessons, okay? Maybe you're going through difficulties in your relationships and you have learned to not speak to people when you're upset. Maybe you kind of, go cold, you go dark, you block them out. Capricorn here in Venus might ask you to review ways in which you have learned thus far to deal with your problems, whatever those problems are. Maybe you have issues at work and you usually go and complain to the boss and he does nothing. Okay. You might be asked to try things a completely different way and to rely on your own wisdom, your own inner guidance in order to confront those issues instead of always running to the supervisor, especially if he's not doing anything anyway. Okay. You might be asked to, if you're used to connecting with people through technology instead of person to person, you might have, the opportunity to go out and to meet people face to face in a way that you usually don't engage in. So with this semi-square here of Saturn in Aquarius and then Venus in Capricorn, wherever that lands in your chart, you're going to be asked to, and then also with the Sun in Capricorn too, is really going to shed light on the ways in which your traditional ways of encountering your difficulties aren't working for you, and why you should try new ways, why you should think outside of the box, why you should approach your difficulties, your limitations, wherever you're restricted in life, places where you're learning karmic lessons as well, because Saturn is also the planet of karma. Ways in which you can approach these lessons where you are making strides in progressing in learning how to deal with your difficulties, dealing with things the non-traditional way, whatever that means for you, and dealing with them in a more unconventional way, going outside of your comfort zone, maybe even doing something that's counterintuitive to you, where you are approaching your difficulties from a completely opposite angle, doing the exact opposite of what it is that you would usually do. Okay, so that's another aspect that you want to look at with this Venus and Capricorn transit. Try something new, try something different, okay? As it is aspecting Aquarius, which does hold the Saturn placement for this transitory period. So in addition to that, another aspect that you want to look at with Venus and Capricorn is Scorpio, okay, and South Node in Scorpio. Because with this transit, you're basically going to be doing some things in a way that is holding you back. You might find with South Node in Scorpio that you are approaching different areas of your life in a way that's actually counter to your progress. You're not progressing in certain areas. You're doing things over and over again that you know are holding you back. You're wanting to make more money, but you refuse to do overtime at your job because it stresses you out, and so you always clock out early. Okay, that disqualifies you for the promotion because they're looking for hard workers that do overtime. You're wanting to go and, get those parts if you're an actor, if you're a performer, but you don't want to audition for certain things where you might have to travel. So you stay in your small town and you don't go for those bigger opportunities. All right. You might be the type of person that you want a lover that's going to be better for you, that's going to be a better fit, but you always are attracted to the same type of person that ends up being dysfunctional. So sometimes with South Node and Scorpio, we have karmic habits that get in our own way. There are ways that we self-soothe emotionally that prevent us from going outside of our comfort zone. A lot of times, especially if you naturally have a Scorpio South Node, there are just certain things that you do, emotional responses that you have, sabotage your opportunity to make progress in certain areas. So with Capricorn, sextile, Venus and Capricorn sextile, South Node in Scorpio, you're going to be asked to make rational decisions, which might be very opposite of your natural process. If you have South Node in Scorpio, you're probably naturally a very emotional, deeply emotional, intense person, very intuitive, but also very reactionary, or you might have very emotional reactions to things that stem from trauma from your past, from being hurt in the past, or from family systems, family patterns, generational patterns, things of that nature. Okay, so with Venus and Capricorn here, you're going to be asked to gently push yourself out of your comfort zone, try approaching things in a new practical manner, and to do things in a rational way that allows you to overcome those emotional urges to do things that are not necessarily to your benefit. Maybe to argue with someone when you really need to find common ground with them, or to clock out of work early because people are irritating you, when you need to be able to have that pragmatic mindset to stay so that you can get to that next place in the, to get that promotion. All right, so these are the type of lessons that you'll be learning with Scorpio, and this is really a universal lesson no matter where Scorpio is in your chart. The South Node is a very karmic feature of the natal chart. So wherever your South Node is, wherever Scorpio is in your chart, you're learning karmic lessons that you didn't learn from last lifetime. You are learning lessons that are going to, if you successfully learn them, they're going to allow you to progress in ways where you may have felt stuck, in the past. So this especially applies to you if you have your natural South Node in Scorpio. But for a lot of us, wherever that Scorpio placement is, you may have certain emotional reactions that self-sabotage you in some way, that held you back. So looking at Venus in Capricorn, looking at ways where you can put your focus on creating harmony in your life by making practical steps forward, this is going to assist you in moving past those difficulties. So the last aspect that we're going to look at as far as relating to Venus in Capricorn, or the last aspect that we're going to look at as far as it relates to Venus in Capricorn, is North Node in Taurus. So with the North Node in Taurus, this is another Earth placement, which means that Venus is going to trine the North Node here. And this is going to allow you to make practical steps toward wherever you're trying to progress in a way that is very harmonious to what you want to do in the future. Taurus allows us to be very consistent, very reliable. And with the Venus, the planet Venus, trining the North Node, it's going to allow you to make progress towards those things that you want to accomplish in the material world or in your relationships in a way where you'll be moving closer to those goals that you have for yourself in the financial area of your life, to allow you to make progress towards accomplishing those things that you really value. So with Taurus as a sign where the North Node currently is placed, you're going to see that as you make as you make progress in your life. So with Taurus here, as where the North Node is placed, Taurus, you're going to find that your persistence, your determination, your consistent progress, as long as you put that discipline in, as long as you make that consistent progress, as long as you have that maturity to really put one foot in front of the other, to set small goals for yourself and accomplish them, you will definitely see that it is going to result in material rewards and connections that are going to give you more harmony in life in the future. With the North Node in Taurus, this is, a sign that is traditionally ruled by Venus. So with Venus trining the North Node, you have a greater chance of gaining things materially with this harmonious aspect, okay? Since Taurus does represent sensual pleasures, it does represent financial gain, depending on where it's placed in your chart, and also the other planets that you have in these signs, because that will, this is why it's important to understand your chart for yourself and to know your own chart, because it's going to allow you to understand the impact that different placements and transits will have for you in the future, and the ways that they are going to specifically. So I would definitely recommend that you guys get chart readings for yourself if you don't already have a natal chart reading, if you've never had a natal chart reading, I would definitely recommend that you do get a natal chart reading for yourself, because so I would recommend that you do, if you haven't already, get a natal chart for yourself, because a natal chart reading as well, so that you can really focus on what these transits mean for you. It's going to impact everybody differently depending on your own natal chart placement, depending on, what your aspects are in your own unique chart. Every chart is like a fingerprint, and everybody's natal chart is different. So the way that this transit affects one person whose, north node is naturally in Taurus could be different from someone else who has the same placement, because it all depends on where your other planets in your chart are as well. All right, so it's really important for you, if you want to use astrology to make progress in your life, to understand yourself on a spiritual level, to make spiritual progress, to have different patterns in your life, progress in a positive way, to rid yourself of negative patterns from the past, and to make growth in the future in a positive way. You really want to be able to understand your natal chart for yourself. You really want to be able to know what your own fingerprint, how it is designed, and what it consists of, so that you can look at the planetary transits and know exactly how it's going to uniquely aspect you. Because I can give you an idea of the ways in which these transits are going to aspect, and the way that they're going to treat you during this upcoming month. But it is going to be different for everybody depending on what your own transits, what your own planets are, and the transits, the aspects, the energies that it creates for you specifically in your own natal chart. All right, so all of that is dependent on the other signs, that you have planets in, the planets that you have Capricorn in as well, because it's going to give your chart a different flavor. It's going to add a different coloring to your chart than it would to someone else with different placements. All right, so keep that in mind. And if you're interested in a natal chart reading, I do offer. So if you're interested in a natal chart reading, I do offer natal chart readings myself. You definitely can DM me or look up my shop and, go ahead and book a reading. I would be more than glad to go ahead and, give you an understanding of the way that you specifically need to approach the current transits, what's going on in your natal chart. So if you do want a natal chart reading for yourself, I do offer customized natal chart readings. I would be more than happy to draw your chart out for you to help you to understand your own specific chart and makeup, so that when you look at these transits, you can be aware of how you need to use them and how you can best utilize each specific transit in your own life. All right, because it's going to, if you have Saturn next to your north node, Venus in Capricorn trining north node in Taurus is going to affect you differently than somebody who has Uranus here, somebody who has their Venus next to their north node in Taurus. All right, so it's going to be, it gives a different flavor to everybody's chart depending on what your own specific placements are. Okay, so that being said, with this north node in Taurus placement trining Venus in Capricorn, this is going to give you a chance to focus on what you love and to use those things to propel you towards those goals that you have, especially in the material world, especially when it comes to, your finances. You can focus on aspects in your work and your career, or, wherever it is that your Capricorn is placed. If it's in the 7th house, this would be relationships, focusing on the things that you love about your relationships to make progress, to go forward in a consistent way, which is Taurus, in a way that creates stability, Taurus, in a way that allows you to centrally enjoy your relationship or to have more harmony, which Venus also does add that quality of harmony to our lives, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So you know, if you're looking to make progress in your work life, in your area of work, especially if you have Capricorn in your 6th house, look to Taurus and where that's placed, what house it's placed in, to be able to understand ways in which you can confront your own, you know, the progress that you want to make, the desires that you have for the goals that you set, and ways in which you can make that progress by focusing on the harmony within your workspace. Look at where Taurus is placed in your chart to see the area that you need to be going towards. Okay, if Taurus is in your 3rd house and you want to work on communication, and you need to use the transit of Venus and Capricorn, of being very consistent in your communication. Okay, and you know, if you have a Taurus in your 3rd, that would put Capricorn in your, see, Taurus, Aries would be 2nd, Pisces would be 1st, Aquarius would be 12th. That would put Capricorn in your 11th house. So this might mean that you need to connect with people who have similar interests as you, who want to make progress in certain areas of their life where you want to make progress. And then you'll be able to communicate with them in a way that would allow you to understand each other and to make that progress, those connections that you want in your life, to be able to give you that connection, or those connections within your community that you desire to have. All right, so these are just some things to think about. Look at your own chart as well to get a deeper understanding of how these transits are going to affect you. Study your chart. And then also look to wherever Capricorn lies and really focus on enjoying that area of your life, deepening your relationship to it wherever it is. Okay, if it's in your 6th house, get a little bit more intense, deepen your enjoyment of work. Okay, of, you know, get to know the people that you work with, get to have, you know, make practical connections with them and see how these people can be useful to you in a practical way, and find ways that you can be useful to them also, so it's an even exchange. Okay, things like that really make a difference with this Venus in Capricorn transit. Now, this is a really great transit to start the year off with, especially for those of you that are serious goal setters, that are ambitious, that share those Capricorn qualities of having a sense of purpose in your life, of being driven and being determined to reach your goals. And also, you know, if this is an energy that is not naturally in your chart, then this is a time, an opportunity for you to deepen into these strengths, to be that go-getter that you wanted to be, or to harness that energy in your life to make progress in whatever area of your life that you want to see grow, to deepen your relationships, to have more mature, more valuable relationships in your life that are grounded in having stable, consistent connection of value. Okay, so I'm really excited about this upcoming year. And I'm happy that we're starting this year off with such a solid foundation, with a lot of earth placements that are going to leave us feeling centered in who we are and how we can apply that to our life, how we can apply our strengths, our desire to accomplish certain things within this next year, and to make meaningful progress in our lives in a beautiful and harmonious way. All right. If you'd like to get a reading from me, please check out my website below. Also, make sure you like this video and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on new videos I'll be posting. I'll be posting readings. If you are interested in getting a reading from me, make sure that you do visit my shop below. I do have that information below as well. Also, make sure that you do like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can be the first to know of when I upload readings and when I post new things to the channel. I'll be posting lots of videos for you guys based on the astrological transits, spiritual information for you as well, so you can be connected and aligned to the universe to be able to be your most authentic self. That's why you're here, right? To enjoy life and to connect with the universe and with people that make this life worthwhile. All right, so I want to make sure that you're centered in your best, in your most healthy, high vibrational, authentic self. And I want to make sure that I can add some things to this channel to help you do just that. All right, so click that like button. I'll see you soon. Bye.